Imagine a king rising against the most powerful armies in Europe. In every battle, he outsmarts his enemies, surprises them with brilliant tactics, and turns his nation into a major power. Who is this man? Frederick the Great, King of Prussia and a military genius of the 18th century. Let's explore his victories, strategies, and battlefield mastery. Fact 1. The young king and his strict upbringing. Frederick II, later known as Frederick the Great, was born in 1712 in Prussia. From an early age, his father, Frederick William I, enforced an extremely strict and disciplined upbringing. The king's father was determined to mold him into a capable military leader and ruler, leaving no room for frivolity or weakness. As a child, Frederick faced harsh punishments for minor mistakes and was pushed relentlessly to study military drills, history, and statecraft. This rigorous training instilled in him a profound sense of discipline, strategic thinking, and resilience that would define his leadership style later in life. Despite the severity, Frederick's intellect and curiosity flourished. He secretly pursued philosophy, music, and literature, cultivating a sharp mind alongside military skill. This early tension between rigid discipline and personal ambition shaped Frederick into a ruler capable of outsmarting his enemies, making calculated decisions under pressure, and commanding his army with unmatched precision. His strict childhood laid the foundation for the tactical genius who would later dominate European battlefields. Fact 2. The importance of military education. From a young age, Frederick the Great was deeply interested in military training and strategy. His father's strict rules and the disciplined environment of the Prussian army pushed him to develop his military knowledge early on. He attended various military academies, studying battlefield tactics, maneuvers, and military history in depth. This education did more than teach him about weapons and combat. It sharpened his strategic thinking. Frederick learned to anticipate enemy weaknesses, plan flexible strategies, and make calm, calculated decisions in any situation. As he grew, these skills allowed him to lead a relatively small Prussian army to victory against Europe's most powerful forces. His military education transformed Frederick into not just a king, but a tactical genius whose strategies would shape history. Fact 3. Political and battlefield agility. Frederick the Great was not just a master of the battlefield, he was also a shrewd diplomat and political strategist. He understood that military victories alone could not secure the power and safety of Prussia. Frederick constantly analyzed the balance of power in Europe, anticipating the moves of neighboring states and forming alliances that would strengthen his position. On the battlefield, his agility was legendary. He could adapt to changing conditions, exploit enemy weaknesses, and shift tactics in the heat of combat. This combination of political insight and military flexibility allowed Frederick to outmaneuver opponents both on the field and at the negotiation table. His ability to think several steps ahead, both strategically and diplomatically, made him one of the most formidable leaders of the 18th century. Frederick's genius lay in knowing when to fight, when to negotiate, and how to combine both to expand and protect his kingdom. Fact 4. Religious beliefs and personal faith. Frederick the Great was born into a Protestant family and received a religious upbringing in line with Prussian traditions. However, his approach to faith went beyond mere tradition. Frederick was deeply interested in philosophy, natural sciences, and rational thought, blending religious beliefs with ethical reasoning and personal values. He understood the influence of religion on politics and daily life, and he skillfully leveraged this knowledge in warfare, governance, and diplomacy. For Frederick, faith served both as a personal anchor and a strategic tool to maintain discipline in his army and to inspire confidence among his people. His rational approach to religion provided balance in his military and state decisions. Frederick's blend of faith and reason made him not just a military leader, but a thoughtful, strategic, and profoundly insightful king. Fact 5. Literacy and education. From an early age, Frederick the Great was groomed to be a leader with not only military strength, but also broad knowledge and literacy. Despite his father's strict upbringing, Frederick secretly immersed himself in philosophy, history, literature, and music. He read both classical and contemporary works, studying different cultures and the principles of governance. This broad education did more than enhance his personal intellect. It gave him a strategic advantage in military and diplomatic decisions. Frederick's literacy enabled him to analyze situations, assess risks, and make smart, calculated decisions. When commanding his army, he did not rely solely on physical strength or tactics. He applied his intellectual abilities to military planning. His knowledge also gave him an edge in state affairs and diplomacy. Furthermore, his literacy earned him respect and influence among his people in the court. In this way, Frederick's education and intellect helped him become not just a military leader, but a thoughtful, cultured, and intellectual king whose impact would endure in history. Fact 6. Strategy and alliances. Frederick the Great excelled not only on the battlefield, but also in diplomacy. He understood that facing Europe's powerful armies required more than just force. Flexible strategy and well-chosen alliances were essential for survival. Frederick skillfully negotiated with neighboring states, predicting the moves of both allies and rivals. He formed alliances at key moments to secure his kingdom's safety while exploiting enemy weaknesses. These alliances not only provided military support, but also strengthened Prussia's strategic position in Europe. On the battlefield, Frederick effectively utilized the resources and reinforcements provided by these alliances, allowing his relatively small Prussian army to triumph over much larger forces. His combination of strategic planning and diplomatic intelligence cemented his legacy as not only a military leader, but also a psychological and political genius. Fact 7. Major battles and victories. Frederick the Great relied not only on brute force, but also on clever tactics and innovative strategy on the battlefield. One of his most famous battles was the Battle of Leuthen in 1757. Frederick's army numbered around 36,000, while the Austrian forces had about 80,000 soldiers. He employed a surprise tactic, secretly positioning his troops and attacking the enemy from the flank and rear. As a result, the smaller Prussian army defeated a larger and more experienced opponent. This victory showcased not just military strength, but Frederick's strategic thinking and planning skills. Other notable victories include the battles of Rossbach and Zorndorf. Each demonstrated his mastery not only of military tactics, but also of boosting troop morale and discipline. His military genius made the Prussian army one of the most formidable in Europe and cemented his reputation as a legendary king in history. And thus, Frederick the Great not only defended Prussia's territories, but also won battles that altered the political balance of Europe. Fact 8. Burning the ships and no turning back. Unlike many commanders, Frederick the Great always emphasized decisiveness and willpower. One of his key strategies was to eliminate any chance of retreat on the battlefield. This approach forced his soldiers to act with courage and resolve in the face of the enemy. Frederick accepted calculated risks and often closed off all escape routes before engaging. This dramatic tactic not only instilled determination in his troops, but also strengthened their resilience and discipline. Many historians remember this approach as both ruthless and brilliant. In this way, Frederick's decisions to leave no path for retreat made him a leader who was not only tactically brilliant, but also psychologically formidable. Fact 9. Later years in solitude. Frederick the Great lived a long and remarkable life, yet his later years were marked by solitude and quiet reflection. His victories on the battlefield, the influence he wielded across Europe, and the lasting mark he left on Prussian history granted him eternal fame. But his personal life was less rewarding. As he aged, Frederick faced political rivals and court intrigues. Despite his accomplishments, he lost close friends, and his relationships with family remained complicated. In his later years, he devoted himself to music, read philosophical works, and reflected on past battles. This solitary life contrasted sharply with the fame and power he had amassed, showing a more introspective side of the legendary king. Frederick the Great's life illustrates that immense victories and historical achievements can come at the cost of personal solitude. His intellect, military genius, and leadership remained legendary, but his personal existence concluded with quiet contemplation. Fact 10. Legacy and historical impact. Frederick the Great left a profound mark not only on Prussian history, but on European history as a whole. His military genius, tactical mastery, and strategic thinking made the Prussian army formidable and respected, while also shifting the political balance of Europe. His love for culture and education is also part of his legacy. Frederick valued music and philosophy, promoting intellectual and cultural development across Europe. Under his leadership, Prussia advanced not only in military strength, but also in cultural and intellectual sophistication. Frederick the Great's legacy is measured not only by his victories and strategic brilliance, but also by the exemplary leadership he demonstrated in both war and governance. He remains in history not merely as a king, but as a symbol of genius, intellect, and determination.